This week, over $100 million worth of Bitcoin was stolen from hardware wallets. The number is still rising as I record this. Not from an exchange. Not from a hot wallet. From hardware wallets. The devices that are supposed to be the safest way to hold Bitcoin. The attack did not involve anyone physically stealing a device. It did not involve phishing or social engineering. The attacker reconstructed the seed phrases mathematically, because a firmware bug in certain devices had made the seed generation process predictable. The private keys were supposed to be random. They were not random enough, and that was enough. This is not a story about Coldcard specifically. It is a story about something every Bitcoin holder needs to understand. The seed phrase is everything, and how it is generated, stored, and protected matters more than most guides ever explain. I'm Sats, and this is how to back up your Bitcoin wallet properly. Before we get into the practical steps, let me explain what the Coldcard hack actually revealed. Because understanding it changes how you think about every part of this guide. When you set up a hardware wallet, the device generates a seed phrase. Those 12 or 24 words are derived from a random number. The randomness is critical. A truly random seed phrase is one that nobody else can reproduce. A seed phrase derived from weak or predictable randomness is one that an attacker with enough computing power could potentially reconstruct without ever touching your device. This is what happened with certain Coldcard wallets affected by a firmware bug introduced in 2021. The random number generator used during seed creation was not sufficiently random. Attackers were able to identify which wallets had been set up with affected firmware and systematically reconstruct the seed phrases for those wallets. They then used those reconstructed seeds to drain the funds, entirely remotely, without ever touching the hardware. The lesson is not that hardware wallets are unsafe. The lesson is that a hardware wallet's security depends on two things, not one. The device keeping the private key offline, which hardware wallets do well, and the seed being generated with true randomness, which is a firmware quality question rather than a physical security question. For most major hardware wallets from reputable manufacturers running current firmware, this is not a concern. But it is a reminder that the quality of the seed matters as much as the security of its storage. Now, here is how to back up your Bitcoin wallet properly, whether you are setting up for the first time or reviewing a setup you already have. Step 1. Understand what you are backing up. Your seed phrase is the complete backup of your wallet. It is not a password, it is not a PIN, it is a representation of the private key itself. Anyone who has your seed phrase has complete access to your Bitcoin from any device anywhere in the world. And you can use your seed phrase to restore your full wallet on any compatible device if your original device is lost, damaged, or fails. The seed phrase is the wallet. Everything else is access to the wallet. Step 2. Write it down correctly during setup. When your hardware wallet generates your seed phrase during initial setup, write every word down on paper in the exact order shown. The order matters. Word 4 is not interchangeable with word 11. A seed phrase with even one word wrong or out of order will not restore your wallet. Write clearly. Use capital letters if your handwriting is difficult to read. Check each word against what the device shows before moving to the next one. Most hardware wallets ask you to confirm the seed phrase by entering selected words back into the device. Use this step seriously rather than rushing through it. Never type your seed phrase into a phone, computer, or any digital device. Never photograph it. Never email it to yourself. Never store it in a notes app or a password manager. The moment your seed phrase touches an internet-connected device, it is potentially exposed. Digital storage defeats the purpose of a hardware wallet. Step 3. Test the backup before you put significant funds in. This is the step most people skip and the one most likely to matter. After writing down your seed phrase and completing setup, restore the wallet on a second device or a fresh install of the wallet software using only the seed phrase you wrote down. Confirm that the same wallet addresses appear. If they do, your backup is correct. If they do not, something went wrong during the writing down process, and you need to find the error before you store significant funds. A backup you have never tested is not a backup. It is a piece of paper you hope is correct. Step 4. Store the seed phrase securely. Secure means protected from two threats simultaneously: unauthorized access by other people, and loss or destruction through environmental damage. A piece of paper in a drawer fails on both counts. Anyone who finds it can access your Bitcoin, and a fire, flood, or simply losing the paper can mean permanent loss. Better options include a fireproof and waterproof safe at your home, a safety deposit box at a bank, though this introduces a third party, A metal backup, which is a seed phrase engraved or stamped onto a steel or titanium plate that is fireproof, waterproof, and virtually indestructible. Metal backups are available from several manufacturers and are worth the small cost for anyone holding a significant amount. Step 5. Consider where you store it relative to the device. Do not store your seed phrase in the same location as your hardware wallet. If someone steals the device and finds the seed phrase in the same drawer, both your PIN protection and your backup have failed simultaneously. The device and the seed phrase should be in separate locations. Both should be secure. If either one is compromised alone, your Bitcoin should still be safe. Step 6. Tell someone you trust where to find it. This is the step covered in the inheritance video. If you die or become incapacitated without anyone knowing where your seed phrase is, your Bitcoin cannot be recovered by anyone. You do not need to tell anyone what the seed phrase says. You need to make sure that someone you trust knows where to find it when it matters. This can be as simple as a note in your will, a letter left with the solicitor, or a trusted family member who knows the location of the backup. The seed phrase is the asset. Making sure it can be found is an estate planning responsibility, not just a personal security one. Step 7. Review your setup periodically. Firmware updates, changes in your life circumstances, moving home, new family situations. Any of these can affect the appropriateness of your backup setup. Check once a year that your seed phrase is still where you stored it, still legible, and that the person who needs to know its location still knows it. Security is not a one-time task, it is a habit. Back to the Coldcard situation for a moment. If you hold Bitcoin in any hardware wallet and have not verified your device's firmware history, now is a reasonable time to check the manufacturer's security page for any advisories. The Coldcard issue affected specific firmware versions. If your device was set up before the affected firmware period, or after the fix, you are not affected. If you are uncertain, contacting the manufacturer's support team is the right step. The broader point stands regardless of which device you use. Understand what you are holding, understand how the backup works. Test it. Store it properly. Tell someone where it is. Let's bring it together. The Coldcard hack this week was a reminder that hardware wallet security depends on seed generation quality as much as physical device security. A seed generated with weak randomness is a seed that can potentially be reconstructed remotely. The practical backup guide in 7 steps. Write the seed phrase down correctly during setup in order on paper. Test the backup before putting significant funds in. Store it in a fireproof, secure location separate from the device. Consider a metal backup for larger amounts. Tell someone you trust where to find it. Review the setup annually. The seed phrase is the wallet. Backing it up properly is the most important security task in Bitcoin. Not the most exciting, the most important. If you want to understand what a seed phrase actually is and why it is the complete representation of your private key, the video on Bitcoin private keys covers that foundation. Watch that next. Stack smart, stay curious. See you in the next stack.